Yes, students. So we'll start with the last concept of your particular chapter number 4. Yes, so we have a quick recap at a very high level. So the first chapter, concept number 1 is about your risk assessment. Concept number 2 is your risk-based audit. Has got 3 elements. Concept number 3 is internal control. So when we talk about the internal control, we spoke about the nature, objective, then we spoke about the structure, nature, objective, scope, structure. We spoke about the traditional structure first, then we spoke about the COSO framework, then we spoke about the what is that called, after we discussed the structure, review is only design plus implementation. Then we spoke about the evaluation, okay, because we wanted to do the test of control, so we can evaluate it by 3 techniques: questionnaire, internal control checklist, and your flowchart. Okay, and in this process, if you have found out any significant deficiency, you have communicated as per SA 265. Then after this, we are going to perform your test of control, SA 330. Okay, so I think we were there up to SA 330. Yes, here. Okay, so before we proceed, students, I wanted to tell you something, okay, which previously we had discussed. Yeah, and one more thing, two things I wanted to tell. See, one thing I just figured out, okay, I was always thinking, because, okay, like many of you are writing this in upcoming exam, in November exam only. But what if some students are writing, say, for example, next year May or next year September? Okay, I will tell you one very simple method, okay, how to do and how to get that updates and all. See, primarily there are 2 documents which we talk about here. One is the study material, another is my Q&A. Now in the study material, okay, so I will give you the dump of this bare study material, which is updated by ICAI on May 2026. So what I am teaching you is your May 2026 study material, which is given by the ICAI. That is the recent material, is available in the website. Like suppose some students are writing in the, say, next year, and they get the May 2027. Okay, one very simple thing you need to do. I will give you the dump. I will keep one link. You always keep that with you. Now, whenever you are writing your attempt, okay, maybe 2028 or whatever, just take that recent dump of ICAI's material and go to, say, ilovepdf.com or any other thing, and just come have one small comparison side by side. See, this software will tell you what all the new changes have been done. Okay, this is what I did. I compared. Oh, okay, I felt so happy because your May 25 and May 26, there are no changes only. So now, suppose whatever 27 or 28 you are writing, see what happened. No, overall structure of the study material same from 2024. Some small changes are going to happen. So like this, no, you will come to know what exactly new changes, new additions or deletions they have done from the study material. This is point number 1. Coming to Q&A, I have already told you, okay, which is my RTP when it is updated, MTP when it is updated. So you can take my Q&A book plus the additional content. So the second thing I wanted to tell you something, what we had already discussed. Okay, so for this now I have to take back, because there are 5 places where we discussed about the objectives. Okay, I just want to bring some more clarity, because it might have created a confusion, because everywhere we see the objective of internal control, accounting system control objective, then check the internal check. So let me go back again so that I can show you how it is easy to remember. It's actually very simple. I also never figured out. It's so simple. In fact, you should have asked me this question. Okay, sir, make it bit simple. Okay, on your behalf, I only asked this question to myself, and I found the answer also. Okay, let us go back now to the first place where we spoke about the internal control, its objective. One of the objective when we spoke about, the very first thing we came across the here, I think, yeah, objectives of the internal control system. Yeah, please note the word, students. What they are asking you, objectives of accounting system. We already discussed, when we talk about internal controls, there are 2 types of broad categories called accounting controls and your admin controls. So forget about accounting admin controls. What is the objective of accounting control? See, for this, now we need to understand what is the meaning of the word system. System means interconnected components. There are small components. System means there are components which are related to each other, which talk to each other to achieve some specific objective. With regard to accounting system, what is that specific objective? For this, we need to know what is accounting. See, accounting system, when we say, what is the very fundamental purpose of accounting? You actually recognize things. That means, see, in your index also, we start with recognition. Then we start with the measurement. Then the presentation and disclosure. There are only 4 elements. So, but that is from the accounting journal entry point of view, reporting point of view. But when we talk about the pure word of accounting, see, accounting includes recognition. Like, for example, how many tables I have got. Okay, how many hours you worked. Then I will measure that. I have to measure. After I recognize, okay, this is what I need to account. I will recognize it. I will measure it. I will record it on somewhere, on the paper, on the electronic form, and I will try to protect both the record and the asset, whatever I have measured. I hope you are clear. So when you talk about an accounting system, see, please understand there are 4 components of the system called recognition, measurement, recording, and protecting. Are you clear about this? That's why we call them accounting system. Okay, what is the objective of this accounting system? First of all, to ensure the transactions have got authorization. That means any transactions we will account only if it is authorized. That means we recognize only if it is authorized. Like, for example, the kid goes out and buys something. Now, father says, no, I'm not going to pay for this because you didn't ask my permission. See, that means that particular inventory or whatever is not having entry into the house only. You got my point? So, first of all, objective is to see that whatever you are going to account, you have recognized it. That means it has come through authorization. Second, you need to have a proper recording controls. Okay, so all transactions are properly recorded in the appropriate manner. Whatever you are going to record it. Measurement, they have mixed it. Then assets and records, because you have counted how many pencils you have got and you have made a note. Okay, there are 4 pencils. See, this is a piece of paper on which you made a record, and these are all the 4 pencils. See, somebody can take this, or somebody can manipulate this. So you need to protect both, no, not only the assets and the underlying, the number, underlying that, okay, what is that called? Number you recorded, which represents the reality, also has to be protected. So this is about the protection. And from time to time, you have to do the verification. Like, you have to go back and see how many pencils you have got right now and compare it with the record. So that's why it's very easy. Remember, accounting system, accounting has got 4 elements, and this 4 component becomes accounting system. I hope it's clear. Then they asked you, what is accounting control objective? See, here they didn't ask you accounting system. Here the system word has not been used, but the word what they have used is the control objective. Please understand. Now, what is the real meaning of a control objective? Why a specific internal control exists? That is the meaning of a control objective. Like, why CCTV exists? Okay, CCTV exists to detect. Like this, from an accounting point of view, why do any control should ever exist? Okay, it should ever exist to see the transactions are recorded, they are real, they are valued, they are properly annulled, timely posted. Okay, that means we are talking about the assertions. So in the Q&A, they use the word accounting system and they explained this particular thing in test your knowledge file. So to be on the safer side, you do one thing, you write the objectives of the system also and objectives of the controls also. I hope you are very clear, students, with this. No confusion. Okay. Then we proceed further. Okay. Then when we proceed further, one more thing we will come across. It is called records and documents. Accounting control should ensure. See, what is a document? Document means one piece of paper. Something, one piece, or it can be, see, we say, no, like my Aadhaar is a document. What is a record? Record means these documents have been filed in one paper or something, and it is used as an evidence. We say, no, house record. House record is made up of so many documents, like my RC, my purchase agreement, my registration certificate. These are all records for me. I hope you are clear. Now, when we are talking about the internal control, internal check components, one of the things is you need to have adequate records and documents. My question, like from the accounting control point of view, why you need to have it? Why you need to have adequate records and documents? What's the objective of having adequate records and documents? Now you can say the transactions are executed as per the authorization. Like if you have the approval notes, if you have purchase order, then only you will come to know whether it has been approved or not. Imagine there are no, everything is happening verbally only in the organization. Then how do you know whether it's approved or not? So the purpose of records and documentation, like why do we need to have records and documents? Because records or documents are one of the component of internal accounting control. Second, that they are posted in the correct amount. Like you have got vendor's invoice. Is it a document? Yes. Vendor's invoice gives me an evidence at what value you have recorded in the books of account. The transactions are properly classified and in the right period. Like you have got the gate entry record, like security entry gate, payment slip. That will show you which period this particular transaction belongs to. Transactions are recognized in and what item it is. Classification you will make accordingly. You tell me, student, will you post some transaction to raw material account or FG account? How do you know? Arey Baba, it is written on a document, no? Whether it's a raw material or whether it's a finished goods. So that document helps you to classify, post in the proper period. Then it will help you to record in a manner to facilitate the preparation of the financial statements, like accounting manuals. It will guide you, like accounting standard. Okay, it's also one of the document. It is also one of the record, because with reference to that you are supposed to make the journal entry. It will help to fix the accountability. Like documents will tell you this asset belongs to which department. It will help you to link it to the individual department, so you can bring the ownership to them. Like I will tell, okay, this mobile phone is my authority, my responsibility. Okay, there is a pen I have given to my daughter. That is her responsibility, to take care of it. Assets and records are required to protect unauthorized access from the disposition, like entry and check, gate check. They will always ask, no? Like you must have seen on the way, some trucks are stopped by the GST authorities. What is the first thing they ask? Where is the document? Because any movement, whether it is an authorized movement or unauthorized movement, your records will help you to figure it out. That's why now people during election time, cash is seized. Why? They say that there is no record for this. So it will help you to protect from the unauthorized use, and it will give you sufficient description of the assets along with its location, so that you can physically verify. Like why you maintain fixed FA register? What is the help FA register is going to do? Because it will have the description of the asset and where it is located. So I hope you are clear, students. No confusion again here, because here we should speak, even though they are talking about the word accounting control, here the accounting control is used from the point of view of records and documents, like why we need that. It may look like an overlap, but all are different. Please understand. Yes, let us continue our journey. Okay, internal control environment. I wanted to give a small analogy which I missed later. See, it's like our brain, students. On the left hand side and right hand side, I have to go and check. One side we have got emotional brain, another side we have got a logical brain. Now that emotional brain or our mindset is what makes us human. Do you agree with me? And that's the control environment. Like our values, our ethics. See, computers don't have values, ethics, emotions and all. So very first thing comes is our mindset, our seriousness. Computers doesn't have any concept of a seriousness. We have got a concept of seriousness. We have got an ambition. We have got a value. We have got a vision. Followed, no? So everything, and that is, you cannot express it. You can witness that in somebody, like somebody standing like this, careless and all. By the very attitude only you will make out, okay, that there is a problem here. So first thing, you need to start with that emotional part, students. Just like a human being, no? You start with the human, because that's what makes us human. Second, you need to think about that logical part of the brain, risk assessment process, like how you are better in predictions, because your very survival lies with the predictions only, correct? You can predict well, you can see that. Okay, so I can say, if you want to understand a human being, first you understand their values, emotions, then you understand, and here where computers come into picture. Computers cannot match to our, say, left brain where we have got emotion, but they can surpass us in our right brain where we do the calculations. And the third element comes is the control activity. Control activity is something which is visible, students, like your body, your hands, your legs, okay, your eyes. These are all control activities. Now, segregation of duty, something it is visible. The mindset, your prediction process and all this is not visible to us. But segregation of duty, physical security, review, see, can't we see that? So what you can witness, actions are your control activity. Information system is like a nerve system. Like that means the moment you touch fire, who tells your brain to do some actions? Information. That means how these control activities are interconnected to your values, your prediction model, everything. That's your information system. That's what information system is going to do. And monitoring is also, see, it's also more like a reflection. Okay, you think from time to time, like what went wrong, what I should be doing, what is that I should have been changed. So, in a component of an internal control, this is the only one control, students, which is visible, students. Rest everything is a conceptual. Okay. And something this is not visible, but it is there. Okay, we can see. I hope this is one of the analogy I wanted to give you. That's why control environment focus on the people. Now, in this also we have come across an objective. Okay, where is that? Information system. Now, here. They say that information system consists of infrastructure, software, etc. Now, here also they say information system relevant to financial report objectives. See, one more objective came. Okay, now we have to understand now. They are talking about a system. System means it should have a component. And they which information, and that is primarily about the information. Okay, no problem. That means accounting part. That means I can say accounting system only. But this time, this accounting system, the accounting system can be related to operations, related to compliance, related to asset, or it can be related to financial reporting. So, which is that objective they are asking here? It is the accounting system related to financial reporting only. So, what you have? See, by default, accounting will have recognition, measurement, and recording. Agree with me? Because, and safeguarding, whatever. By default, the accounting system will have that. But what is that one thing new you have is something called reporting, because we are talking about the financial reporting. Okay, so now when I look at this, you see, identify all transactions are recorded. See, recognition. They are properly classified. Okay, that means you have got a proper classifications. They are measured at a value. They have time period is determined for a cutoff per se. They are presented properly. That means reporting. I hope it's clear. Very easy to understand and remember. We will continue with our journey. One more objective, total 5 objectives we will come across. It is called objectives of the internal check. For this, we will understand the word. What do you mean by check? Check means look, inspect, look someone. Okay, look for what? Detect the error, prevent the error, locate who is responsible, protect the, check that it is integral, and prevent the theft. So easy. You think, no, you have to look here. What is the objective of looking? So you want to prevent the error, detect the error, prevent the fraud, locate the responsibility, who made the mistake. That is the objective of the internal check. So I hope it is much clear now. Yeah, because I was also wondering how they are different, what they are different. See, I was able to crack it only when I went through the word, students. I went to the Google, I asked what is the meaning of check, what is the meaning of objective, what is the meaning. See, we take those words for granted. We feel that we know it. But the moment you go by word, you pick one word and understand. See, student, you actually need not remember also, you need not forget also, because it becomes part of your awareness. Agree with me? Then you will find it is not difficult only. Yeah, it is very simple. You will all say when exam is going to come. Tomorrow I am going to write. Once let this happen, once this building, like all the structure and all sit in your brain, afterwards you need not study, you need not forget. It is part of you. So we will move. Okay, this is one small change I made. Review includes your design and implementation only. One small change, you can also make a change, because effectiveness comes only at the assessment and evaluation level. Okay. Then we communicated all the flow chart, everything we prepared. Okay, now today we will speak about the response. Small concept they have added. Why they have added, I don't know, because primarily they are speaking about the test of controls, which we had already discussed. Yes, here. Oh, sorry. Now, since your evaluation is complete, you know that controls are good. So based on the risk of misstatement identified and assessed by the auditor will develop the response to the risk. So now SA 330 will come. It says that you have to develop the response. The objective of SA 330 is to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence about the assessed ROMM by appropriate responses. So primarily, you have got two types of responses because you have to develop an overall response. Because in 315, when you do risk assessment, you classify them into overall risk and assertion level risk. Now, what is an assertion and all? We have already discussed. So at the 330 level, you have to have an overall response and you have to decide your further audit procedure for assertion level risk. Now, they have not discussed the overall response here. What is the overall response? Being alert, having unpredictability, bringing special team and supervision, revenue analysis. Okay, these are the 3 or 4 response you can provide. Now, they spoke particularly designing of the further audit procedure, how you should decide, because you have got 2 further audit procedure, TOC or substantive procedure. Among these 2, which one you should choose? They say that you have to consider the reason for the assessment given at the assertion level and a likelihood of misstatement, is it coming because of the characteristics or whether it is coming because of the control. And if you decide to do test of control, obtain more persuasive evidence. You remember, no students, I made a chart, GST, debtors, stock, we made IR, we made ROMM calculation, then we decided why ROMM is more. You remember, no? That is this particular pattern. So you decide, should I do test of controls or substantive procedure? Whether control exists, is it effective? Because you require one control to risk map. Now, the auditor shall design the test of controls when auditor's assessment of ROMM at the assertion level includes expectation that controls are going to operate effectively, and substantive alone procedures alone cannot provide the evidence. One thing, you need to have a very strong confidence that operating effectiveness is good. That means this what you made an assessment or evaluation of the controls, okay, what you have understood about the control, that's going to operate very effectively. Because see student, first of all, you have made a review and you got in principle comfort that should I go for test of control. Then you started to understand in a very detailed way by preparing flowchart, okay, questionnaire and all. Now you got a very good fair assessment of the control, like how strong their control is. But this assessment happened say in the month of June. But is this control operatively affected till 31st March? That testing is called a test of control. So what you do now? You pick samples from each month and see whether the maker and checker has worked, whether segregation of duties are done, whether the accounting records are protected, whether the risk assessment process have been done. Like you take multiple samples for the year and then you verify. This is one of the things. And second, sometimes you will be in a complete automated environment. That's why substantive procedures alone cannot provide you any evidence. So when you are in a total automated environment, then you are forced to do test of control students. Because let's say, for example, you have got a blockchain technology. See, in a blockchain technology, nobody can manipulate. There is no external confirmation. There is no reconciliation. Now tell me, what sort of, what is it called, calculations you can do? What type of substantive procedures you will do? You cannot do it. So first thing, should I do test of control or substantive procedure? These are all the 2 factors you consider. And in test of controls, if you want to design, then you need to consider these 2 elements also, that you should have a effectiveness, confidence, and substantive procedure alone cannot provide. In designing and performing TOC, you obtain more persuasive evidence, greater the reliance you place on the effectiveness. And then they say, irrespective of the assessed ROMM, you have to perform some substantive procedures for each material class of transaction. That means if the say revenue is very good, very high, is the material class of transaction. Your HR employee payroll cost is very high, it's the material class of transaction. They say that don't 100% rely. At least for a material class of transaction, you have to do substantive testing. Okay, like for example, there are so many small chapters you are going to come across, chapter 13, 14, 15, or not 14, 15, 16. These are small chapters. I need not conduct tests for you. Why? Because I can trust your preparations. But they say that irrespective of your trust, you have to do something for a material class. Like Professional ethics, I have to do one test. Chapter number 2, I have to do one test, because these are all material classes. Okay, bank audit, you have to have one test, because it is not that I don't trust you, I trust you, but we have to have tests on that particular chapters. That's it. Now let us go some of the questions. Let us see. Test your knowledge 9. Okay, what we have got. See, on the framework part, there are no questions, but some other questions they have given, because the only framework is left now. X Limited has got 5 entertainment centers to provide facilities for the public, for the children and youngsters. Okay, it's some entertainment center at 5 different locations within the peripheral of 200 kilometers, maybe amusement park. Collections are made on cash. Specify the adequate control system towards collection of cash. See, I have marked it as priority 1, because these are all like other questions, friends, like random questions. So you may have to remember and practice this. So they have got the spread across different locations within the 250 kilometers. Ticket sales and ride fees are collected in cash. Danger. Ensuring proper control over the collection is very crucial for management and revenue leakage. To maintain transparency, what control measures would Joy Private Limited implement in the ticket collections? You remember, no, there was one cinema theater, internal controls related to cinema theater. Very similar question here. So what you need to do? Control system over selling and collection of tickets. In order to achieve proper internal control, you need to adopt online payments. So instead of cash, you shift to Paytm. Okay, it is much more better. That's why some places they say if you are paying by Paytm online, entry fees is 50. If you pay by cash, entry fees is 75. See, this is the system they bring, so that you make the people to pay by online, so that no cash misappropriation happens. Printing of tickets and e-tickets, like serially numbered pre-printed tickets, should be used, and in such a way that any type of ticket used cannot be duplicated, so that another person cannot be able to use it. Now, alternatively, entity can go for e-tickets also. So in the mobile only, you see, no, book my tickets, you book. See, in the mobile only, you have got a QR code. So serial number should not be repeated during the reasonable period. Then have a ticket sales. The sale of tickets should be take place from the central ticket counter, like we call them box office, like in case of movies. So instead of different places, have preferably through machines. Okay, like we have seen in the KFC today, they have got the ordering machines there. Okay, it's happening through them. Now daily cash reconciliation should happen. Daily you need to deposit the money in bank. Advance booking are then they need to advance booking of facilities made available. System should ensure that tickets are paid for. Discounts and free process has to be verified. Surprise check you bring, and entrance ticket should be cancelled at the entrance gate only. This is what you see everywhere. No, they tear it or they give you a different exit. So these are all the things. Please practice this. Any 4 or 5 points you can remember. And then in March 24 MTP 1 question, which is your test your knowledge question. While conducting statutory audit, CA careful planned attendance at the physical inventory count of the company. Okay, when you look at this planned attending physical count, your mind will go to SA 501, which is the next chapter. The company is engaged in the business of extracting rice from paddy grains and caters to the domestic as well as international market for Gulf region, particularly Gulf region. It has its plants spread across 20 acres located in National Capital Region. So paddy is contained in the jute bags of the standard size. It stored the heap of pellets, kind of wooden structure, in open area covered by protective sheets and steel silos. Huge steel containers with a measuring train gauges. The company mainly produces 3 rice of brand, Raja, Shehzada, both are domestic, and Badshah for the international market. The process of obtaining paddy, rice from the paddy, various steps like cleaning, removing husk, etc. So they are using some types of machineries in the installed plant. Okay, they explained all about their organization. The company's management has prepared some set of instructions and procedures. See, instructions and procedure may be a keyword for alternative word for internal controls. Instructions are nothing but policy. Procedures are procedures or process. So we can say policies and procedures. See, remember one new word in the examination, instructions and procedure, to be followed for recording, controlling of the company's physical inventory counting. Like physical inventory count process is to be supervised by a responsible officer who is responsible for storage functions. There should be no disturbance to the routine process of receiving the goods during the counting period. You remember, they say that you should not do it. Physical inventory count should be supervised by the responsible of a storage function. No, they should not be involved there. Why they should supervise? Because they are only responsible, because they are having custody. And your process should be stopped when you are doing counting. But they say that no, they should not be. Counting process is to be undertaken by constituting different teams of 3 members each. Counting, verifying raw material, work in progress, finished goods. This seems to be okay. Paddy and seal stylo should be estimated using their capacity. No, because what is there inside it? Who should know? Somebody has to verify. Okay, for you information student, I don't know whether I told you, there is something called a salad oil case. You see what type of fraud people do. See, there are some containers. Okay, now there was some company called Salad Oil Limited. They filled these containers with water, and 3/4 no, they filled with oil, and they went to the bank and took a loan on inventory, and they know that they are not going to pay, because, and when the inspection people came for inspection, they saw that this particular tank has been filled with oil, but at the bottom there was completely water. Like this, they were taking huge loans. And how this fraud was detected? Somebody made one analysis. They saw that this salad oil is prepared by using some soya beans. And to get 1 liter, you need to have 2 kg. And they had taken loan, and they had so much inventory of salad oil. And somebody figured out that this, if they have to have, say, for example, 1,000 crore liters, say for example, just an example, that means you need to have 200 crore kg of salad oil, because this is the amount of stock they have pledged. This much production is not there in entire USA. Somebody analyzed it, and then they found out the fraud. So when we know, because this point came because somebody is estimating paddy by using their capacity. Who knows what is there inside? Quantity of work in progress should be estimated considering the plant capacity as a whole. Responsible officer should ensure stocks have been counted, verified in all areas. Before proceeding to attend inventory count process, evaluate the management instructions and procedures sent to CA. Careful as stated above. Okay, I think, yeah, it is SA 501 only, friends. We could have put it there, because there, one of the word we have to evaluate the management instructions and process. You may suggest the modifications, additions and removal. Okay, there may be mark allocation between modification and allocation. Okay, anyhow, we will study right now only, but this has to go in SA 501 next chapter. Yeah, because this is the keyword for you. Management instructions and procedures for inventory count process. Now, the set of instructions and procedures are incomplete. They are not followed properly. 1. The physical inventory count should be supervised by the finance department. Now, storage in charge himself is doing. That is not proper. So, this is the point you are going to say, that it should be done by finance. Now, movement of goods should not be allowed, because one of the requirement of the good expectations about the internal control is you have to stop the movements. This point also you can tell. The instructions related to the constitution of the team does not specify the counting shall be undertaken by the members drawn from the department not connected with the storage function. Okay, if I go back, have they told here that counting process should be undertaken by the constitution teams, different teams from the counting, verification of raw material. Okay, from which department they are fetched? Now, you can't fetch the person from the production department to verify the raw, say, work in progress, because they are connected with it. So this is that they found out that there is a loophole, that you are not told from where they are fetched. For example, these members may be from the finance department. Further, within each team, they should be fixed separate for counting and recording. And once counting is done, they have to mark a distinctive mark on that stack. Okay, this is completed. Count sheet should be contain description of the products in accordance with the inventory count, and the instruction is silent how the team members would proceed with their work. Okay, the members should be provided with the layout of the plan. Next is management instructions are silent how paddy laying in the open is counted. Okay, they told only in the silos. Now, paddy in jute bags lying in the open heap should be verified by counting the number of bags. Okay, like you count. And padding the steel should be used using strain gauges in the silo. That means there will be some gauging, dipping, measuring instrument or something. So determining quantity silo based on the silo capacity may lead to wrong results. So you have got a gauge, you verify with it. Work in progress should be estimated with the stage of production, not with the plant capacity. FG of inventory need to be counted. Record category wise, rice bag should be verified by checking the name of the brand. Yeah, what all these highlighted yellow marks, they are not given in the question actually, but in the answer they have given. There is no instruction regarding the damaged or the obsolete stock. That has to be done. Count sheet should be signed. Responsible officer should ensure they have been counter verified and distinctive marks have been put. Okay, so this is how you can, any of those points they can ask you, you can write it. Okay, this is also very generic. Next is your RTP. Okay, I think this also should have gone to SA 501. During the counting, CA Vigilant has planned to attend the physical count. Yes, I think the same similar question. Engage in the production of pharmaceutical. They are exporting to Middle East and all, so they have got 3 products. Process of production involves physical counting to be supervised by the warehouse in charge. Now it's very easy. You say this is not acceptable. Counting should not disrupt. No. Team has got 4 members. Each are to count the raw material working, but from where they are selected, how they are going to do it. Quantities of material in drum to be estimated based in drum capacity. No, use a gauge. Quantities of working process using plant capacity. No, you have to see the stages of production. Responsible officer should ensure all the areas are counted. So they have to sign the document. They have to seal it. They have to cross verify. Okay, these are all the same points. I think we'll skip it. We'll proceed further. Yes, students. So the last element here, okay, we are done with it, is your framework for internal control. We don't have any questions on this. Yeah, but anyhow, you can just quickly go through. Yeah, but before that, we will start making the mind map for that last concept. Last 2 concepts are left. We'll just do the mind map. Reporting of internal control on number 7. Weakness. Okay. What is the objective? Because you are going to cover SA 265. You can write here SA 265. Communicate significant deficiency to TCWC. So how? Requirements. I can say how to communicate. So you need to have requirements. 1. Determine whether deficiency exists. Yeah, from the Q&A we understood that there are 2 things. When control do not exist, that is a deficiency. From the Q&A we understood there are 2 parameters you need to consider. When you say there is a deficiency, either control do not exist or control do not operate effectively. So this is called a design deficiency. This is called a operating effectiveness deficiency. So once you have determined that there is the efficiency exists, what is the second thing you need to do? Determine significance. Is it significant deficiency? How? Professional judgment. So use your professional judgment and decide whether this deficiency is it significant individually or in combination with others. Use your professional judgment. Third, communicate. How? You can write internal control memo, or this is also called a letter of weakness. This is also called a management letter. So how to communicate? You can communicate through the written letters. Okay, what to include? One, description. You need to include a description of deficiency, potential effect, and the third, sufficient details, so that they can understand the context. So what all those sufficient detail? One, purpose of audit. You need to tell purpose of audit. It is to express opinion. Considered internal control relevant to audit only. Relevant to audit. That means I have not considered every internal control. Don't get them an expression, and it is not an expression of opinion on the internal control. Deficiency are only identified during audit, not all deficiency. Okay, we are not going to tell that every deficiency. I hope it's clear. First, to tell the purpose of audit is to express opinion on the financials, not on your internal control. We have studied the internal control which is relevant to audit, not all the internal controls. And the deficiency, what we have found out, only we found during the audit. We have not even found out all the deficiency also. Still, there can be more deficiency. So this is what you need to communicate. The last question there can be, what is the benefit? Okay, I can add here. After you communicate, you can say, what is the benefit of this communication or advantage? One, there are two benefits, or why this communication is important. Reference document to revise internal controls. So it will help them as a reference document so that they can revise the internal controls. Who? The management. Minimize legal liability. For whom? The auditor. That's it. This is what you need to understand. So any question will be revolving within this particular thing. SA 330, you need not make any note here because it's not that part of your, there is no questions on this SA 330. It's the last thing we can write here. Framework of internal control. frameworks of internal control. Okay, friends. So what are the frameworks? We'll quickly finish because it's very simple actually, because already major portion we have also we have already learned. So what is the framework? It's more like a guideline. This is it's like a boundary. Now, internal controls are part of the governance mechanisms of every organization. So there are so many number of global internal control frameworks which have arisen of late. So the board of directors need to consider whether they have enough and timely, relevant, reliable reports on progress against the business objective and significant risk. Okay, you can just go through some theory there. So objective and all we need not talk about. Straight away we will talk about the different types. One, guidance note on audit of internal financial controls over financial reporting. Okay. For this guidance note, no, I need to talk about something called, I have to take you back to 2002 students, from where these guidance notes came on internal financial reporting. Okay. ICFR. From what is the concept of this? See, for consecutive 7 years, no, Enron was the very, I think, not 7 years. Yeah, it was the number one company. It's a very huge company. Like we can call it like Reliance Industries in India. Okay, something like a very big company in USA. But for a long period of time, nobody was aware that there was very big fraud happening because they wanted to maintain good, show good picture to the investors. So the CEO and the CFO, they started to do creative accounting because they saw some weakness in the internal controls. Sorry, your accounting standards. So what they did, no, they started to book the future revenues immediately. So they pass the journal entry. See, whenever they enter into contract, for next 10 years, I am going to supply you energy. So they found out the present value of the future cash flows and they pass the journal entry debtors account debit to revenue. So in the moment they entered into any contract, no, they used to book that revenue well in advance. Like you may ask me, sir, how it is possible? This is that loophole they found out in accounting standards there in USA. But this debtor money is receivable for next 10 years. So what they did, they sold it for a special purpose vehicle. And the special purpose vehicle did something called a securitization. And they sold these pieces to so many local investors, small investors, individual investors. Now, why individual investors will buy something like a securitized debt from that to unknown debtors? Now, Enron gave the bank guarantee for them. That means if these are all our debtors, if they don't pay, I will pay. Now, they trusted the bank guarantee. And when they paid the money, special purpose entity paid this back and they passed the journal entry, cash account debit to debtor. You see, clean. Okay. Something which is receivable in the future, they got converted into cash right now and they become very cash rich company. Everybody started to buy their shares. And something, one very big liability was sitting below the balance sheet in the form of contingent liability, bank guarantee. You see, in days today, bank guarantee also they will bring today into your accounting. There is not notes to account anymore now. If it is not at a fair value, they will bring that impact also. Whatever. This is, and they collapsed. And I think I had told you also, one of the big five got killed, Arthur and Anderson. And from that day, after 2002, we only call big four. And see, from past 30, 20 years or 27 years, we have not called anyone as big five. That means, can you imagine, student, how big scandal this was? And if you imagine, can you, if it could kill one big five, how big it must be then, that management fraud or fraudulent financial statements, whatever. Then government came with one act called SOX. And for the first time, they told the auditors should certify the internal controls. Now auditors, this is what in 2002. And then they brought one more thing, that the financial statement has to be signed by the CEO and CFO. And if there is a material misstatement, they can be jailed for 40, 50 years. So they brought very strict, what they call the rules there. Now in 2013 Companies Act, in India, we incorporated this IFC, Internal Financial Controls. But the problem is when we talk about the IFC will take different controls like operational controls, financial reporting controls, compliance control, asset safeguarding controls. Then we got a clarity. That's why guidance note came later by ICA. They said, look, All these internal controls are the responsibility of the TCWG. And which certificate you are going to sign, that is only internal controls related to financial reporting only. So this is that background of guidance note on the audit of internal financial controls. The internal financial controls includes all the internal controls of the organization. But auditor is going to certify only over financial reporting. That is why we call it ICFR. It is not IFC, or you can say IFCFR. You can call it by any name. Now ICAI has issued the guidance note on ICFR because first time when the Companies Act 2013 came, the word was used IFC. Now our audit profession became worried. So they said, sir, how we can certify the internal controls of entire organization? Then ICAI came with the guidance note. They said, no, Baba, every aspect you need not see. You just look into only the FR, financial reporting part only. Because anyhow you must be using it for testing of controls. So, which covers the aspect of the scope of reporting of the internal financial controls under Companies Act, essential components. Then technical guidance and all came, like implementation guidance also came. So how you need to do it. Okay, that's it. There is nothing much to go through. You can just read this. Okay, so it says that you can just go through the guidance note content they have given. So we'll not spend much time there. They referred that, okay, you are supposed to do internal control test as per 315 also. So please read and understand this particular guidance note. So this is what they have told. Second is international internal control frameworks. The very first, this is our local ICAI has issued. What are the international internal control frameworks? The very first framework we discuss is about COSO. Because we discussed that before 1992, what we had is more like a generally accepted accounting practices. Like that, internal control structure. So segregation of duty, then you have got what they called authorization, safeguarding of the records. But after 1992, we got something like Ind AS. You see, student, generally accepted accounting practices versus Ind AS. See the language, in generally accepted practices, like there's a different, diverse practices. You as an auditor, you go one organization, their internal controls are different, another organization, their internal control structures are different. But today, if somebody is COSO compliant, their internal control structures will be same throughout the world, for your information. That means the moment you go there, the way they have implemented, what you need to verify, everything is written. That 5 components, 17 principle, 81 focal points. Followed, no? So, COSO internal control framework was introduced in 1992, which you have learned that 5 components. So they categorize the entity level objectives into financial reporting, operations and compliance. So there are 17 principles, 5 components, which we have already learned. And this is how the 17 principles have been spread into 5 components. So what are the 5 components? We have got control environment, risk assessment process, control activity, information and communication monitoring. So what should be the essential elements or principles of your control environment? 1, demonstrate commitment to integrity and ethical values. You see, students, that this was the first point, right? Because this is our emotions. This is where we start. Second, exercise oversight responsibility. That means you separate yourself from execution, but you monitor them. Third, establish the structure and authority. That means you have an organization structure. Give authority and responsibility to the people. Then demonstrate commitment to the competence. This is the second point there. And fourth, enforce the accountability. And HR was added extra there. These are all, see, these principles only are told as a components. So it's very easy to remember these principles. You agree with me, students? Then comes the risk assessment. First, specify the suitable objective. Identify and analyze the risk. This includes your likelihood and the impact. Assess the fraud risk and identify and analyze the significant change. So these are all the 4 principles of risk assessment. Then you have got a risk assessment process which includes identification of the risk, checking the likelihood, checking its impact and figuring out the actions. Okay, so you can remember these 4 principles also. Control activities includes your selection of the control activities. The control activities include your segregation of duty, review, physical controls, IT based controls. Select and develop the general controls and deploy policies and procedures. Okay, so general controls over technology, GITC. Information, use the relevant information communicate internally, communicate externally. So information has to be like policies and procedure has to be internally communicated, and financial reporting has to be externally communicated. And last, you need to have an online monitoring, ongoing or separate evaluation, and communicate the deficiencies and to the internal management and take the actions. So these are all the 17 principles spread over this. So what are the three objectives? Operations objective, reporting objective, compliance objective. Effectiveness and efficiency of the operation, reliability and of the financial reporting, and compliance with the law. Yeah, that's why students, I will move fast because already we have covered in detail. Limitations of the internal control, certain events beyond the organization's control, human error, collusion. This also we have discussed. Okay, the second framework, what we have got called COCO, criteria of control, which is developed by the Canadian Institute of Chartered Accountants. Who developed COSO? 5 premier institutes of USA like AICPA, CMA, okay, Institute of CFO, Financial Officers, Accounting Institute. There were 5 institutes. They formed together, and it is done by the Canadian Institute of Chartered Accountants. Now, this is called a criteria of control. It was developed what must have happened? This must have developed before 1992. So this became one international standard. So what the Canadian Institute developed, Chartered Accountant, everybody started to adopt because there was nothing. But the moment 1992 framework came, today worldwide, your 2017 ERM framework has been applied. That's why, student, once you have learned it, you go to any organization which have adopted this COSO framework. See, you understand how they have organized it, how to test it, because it becomes like a language. Now, this framework includes 20 criteria in 4 areas. 4 areas is more like a component. 20 criteria is more like a principles. So, the control involves the entire organization but begins with the employees. Okay, what are those 4 areas? Purpose, commitment, capability, monitoring. So, purpose is more like a direction. I can say more like a control environment. Commitment is more like identify and values, identity and values. Okay, capability is your competence, and monitoring is your evolution. So monitoring also we have got in component. Capability, I can say more like your control activities. Commitment and purpose is more like your control environment. Anyhow, I'm just giving some similar thing. And 20 principles they have not discussed. Only 4 areas they have discussed. Then somewhere we came across another criteria called the COBIT. Control objectives for information control objective, like why information related technology exists, like controls exist, information and related technology. Now this framework has been created by ISACA. ISACA is also a US based association which gives you CISA degree, Information Systems Auditor. Now they have come with the 34 high level processes covering 200 contain objectives in 4 domains. Domains are more like your components: planning and organization, acquisition of the system, delivery and support, and monitoring. So these are, and they have not discussed about 210 objectives and 31 processes. Only 4 domains they spoke. This is also one of the high level thing. Some organizations who are technology savvy, like fintech companies and all, must have gone for this type of thing because they are more robust, because they are more technology oriented. So it's a control model that guarantees integrity of the information system. So a normal organization may not require it. For them, COSO is sufficient. But a fintech company, this may be very important. So COBIT is used globally by all the managers who are responsible for IT business processes. So COBIT ensures quality and reliability of the information system. That's why this has been designed by ISACA. The guidelines on this framework guides organization how to use the IT resources. Okay. Next, we will go to something called a Turnbull report. Internal control, directors on combined code. Who developed it? Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. Imagine, we also would have developed, no, we would have learned here, international. But ours is only that national one. Which one? That guidance note. Anyhow, when the combined code of the Committee on Corporate Governance, which is called a code, was published by the Institute of England and Wales, they help to assist the companies to implement the related to the internal control. Then what is their principles? The board should maintain sound system of internal control. That means board should take the responsibility, control environment. Directors should at least annually conduct a review of the effectiveness and should report to the shareholders. Today what IFC is there, no? This is what they are trying to tell. Companies which do not have internal audit function should have to have one internal audit department. So this is the requirement of your Committee on Corporate Governance. code, combined code of Committee on Corporate Governance. That means they need to report to the shareholders, they need to review the internal controls, and they need to have an audit department. So this is what it says. Again, the last thing we have got is something called a SOX. Already Sarbanes and Oxley, because these are the two people who were pioneered to bring this act. They went through, okay, into all the provisions like how it should be. So Sarbanes-Oxley Act came with something called a Section 404. They mandated all public traded company or listed company to establish the internal control, document, test and maintain those control. Now, the purpose of SOX is to reduce the possibilities of the corporate fraud, because this came after Enron only. And first time, students, what happened? No, you see, one more thing happened. AICPA was the head of certified public accountants. So they used to check the disciplinary mechanism. So what US government did, first of all, they ordered Arthur and Anderson to close down, and they brought a PCAOB, Public Committee Company Accounting Oversight Board. Same thing happened in India also. In 2018, see, ICI is the disciplinary mechanism having all CS in India. You agree? Till now, from the 1949, ICI used to take all the disciplinary cases against the chartered accountants who have got professional misconduct. But in 2018, after the Nirav Modi fraud happened, your NFRA came into picture, NAFRA. So today they have got authority to take action against CS, like PCOB has got action against the CPA. So now what they have made, no, these made institutions as educational institutions only. Previously they were regulators. Now these people have come to regulate our profession. And what this AICP and CIC is doing, they are training the members. Okay, so now regulators regulates the audits of public companies and SEC registered brokers. So what is the Security Exchange Commission rules and PCOB standards? Now management should perform formal assessment of the controls over finance reporting, IFC. Management should certify it. Management should include the annual report, the assessment of ICFR. External auditors should provide two opinions. One, independent opinion on the financial statement, and second, they should give the opinion on the effectiveness of ICFR. This is what we have got in section 143. Next chapter number 7, we will learn. Okay, somewhere in section 143, subsection 9, no, somewhere I don't recollect the subsection, but the auditor is supposed to give. See, today we have got two reports, 2 times we sign, or 3 signs. One is CARO, one is our financial balance sheet P&L, another is this ICFR, internal control reporting. And for this, they have given the guidance notes. Yes, so this is all about this particular chapter. Yes, very fantastic chapter. I hope you have understood. So we will make a note, quick note. Okay, there's nothing much here of the mind map framework for internal control. One, COSO framework. Yeah, because there's nothing much here, friends. I don't think so. They will ask you any questions. Anyhow, they can ask you. You can write in your general language here. So we can say here, it has got 5 components. 1, control environment. Yeah, because if anything is worth writing, so we can write about this, and it has got some principles. Integrity and ethics. Then oversight. Then org structure. Plus authority and responsibility. Based on this, our board of studies have created that points, components of control environment and law. Commitment to competence, accountability. So these are all the principles, 5 principles related to your control environment. The second component is your risk assessment process. Okay, it includes specify objective, because without objective, risk makes no sense only. What is risk? Something threatening your objective. So first you be very clear what exactly is important to you. Because if you are not able to figure out what is important to you, you will not perceive the risk only. Risk is always a perception. Then identify and analyze the risk. First you define what is important to you. Then you see what can take that, threaten it. Then you assess fraud risk also. Because here we may be talking about the error. And identify significant changes. Now, what do you mean by specify objective? There are sub points which is not part of your syllabus. I told no 81 focal points. This is called a focal points. Now, each of these 81 points have been distributed. Identify and analyze the risk. There are sub points. Sub points. Now, that sub point has got sub points. So that's why it's a fantastic written document, students. So many things are there. Not part of our syllabus. The third, what we have got is called a control activity. Select control activity. Select general IT controls. Develop policies and procedures. What do you mean by policies and procedures? Internal controls. Policies and procedures means internal controls. Fourth, information and communication. Use relevant info. Communicate internally, externally. And the last one, monitoring, ongoing or separate. Ongoing means each transaction which happens. Separate means post-mortem. Then communicate deficiency. Yeah, if you ask me anything you want to study, just study this, because they can ask you this. Okay, other things I don't think so much relevant. Second, or B, criteria of control. It is for purpose, commitment, capability, monitoring. You can write here 20 criteria. 4 areas. See, COBIT. Developed by Isaka. Core domain, 34 process, 210 objectives. So which are all the domains? Planning and organization, acquisition and implementation, delivery and support, monitoring. Guidance for directors on combined code. Directors for guidance for directors on combined code. Okay, nothing more important. It is COBIT was important. So here board to maintain internal control, directors to review annually, have internal audit department. That's it. And the last one is your SOX Act, section 404. Okay, what SOX says? You can write it came after this, want to reduce the corporate fraud and all. But management to do formal assessment of internal controls, publish assessment in annual report about along with your all director statement and other thing. External auditors to provide 2 reports. One, opinion on financial statement. Second, opinion on effectiveness, not on designer, on ICFR, internal controls over financial reporting. So 2 types of reports they have to give. One is your on the financial statement and your other thing related to ICFR. Okay, friends. So with this, we are done with this particular chapter. Hope you are much clear. We spent good amount of time. Okay, so we can move to the next topics.